Welcome back to the Mom Files. Today we're diving into how to find time for self-care. People are always talking about what to do, but it's not helpful if you can't actually do it. And I know personally I hear this all the time. And it's not that I don't know what to do. It's more so that I can't figure out when to do it or how to actually find the time to do what I want. So let's talk about that if you find yourself having kind of similar issues with
Mhm.
finding time for self-care. I think for me, it's really prominent right now. Well, it's gotten a lot better, but from about January until March or April of this year, I was having I had chronic fatigue. I was having migraines, just a lot of, honestly, I don't even know the right word for it, but it really sucked. I didn't feel like I had time for Azzy. I didn't feel like I
Yeah.
had time for Tony, and I definitely did not feel like I had time for myself. And the constant denominator was people telling me, oh, well, you just need to take time for yourself. Well, I don't even get time for myself when I couldn't even sleep at night.
Right.
So I don't know when we're taking time for ourselves when all I want is sleep, but I can't even get that.
Mhm.
Aleea knows I was going to see doctors.
Mhm.
I think I had like probably about 6 doctor's appointments. I had MRIs, I had ultrasounds, I had appointments like brain scans, all these things to figure it out. And it really did come down to me not being able to take time for myself.
Mhm.
Sleep begets sleep, stressing out at night makes it so you can't sleep, and then the next day you can't. But
Absolutely.
constantly, you should work out and you should find time for yourself. Okay, well, I work a full-time job. I also co-own a company, Golden Goose Creative, podcast production if you don't know. Check us out. But seriously, and then on top of that, I have my toddler home full time with me. I
Mhm.
have a village, but they can only do so much. They work full time as well. And I also put on myself that we're budgeting. So I make breakfast, lunch, and dinner at home, and send Tony to work with all that. So what point of my day do I have to sit down and, mind you, this whole time I read. That is my self-care right now. So when do I have time to read more than like 3 pages at once without a phone call or a work email or
Mhm.
a mama or a hey wife? Like, it's not that I don't want the self-care time. It's I physically could not find the time. And then there's the emotional side of it, me beating myself up because I can't find the time. And I know this is all that I quote. That's all I need to do is just relax. You should have less stress. Maybe you should focus on your stress levels. Oh, I'm focused on them.
Yeah, I'm trying,
I'm
and it's
real
in a bad
focused
way.
so what are some things that like we can do to find
Mhm.
self-care? Like I said, I'm pretty much out of it. It's not perfect. I still am like at the standard mom crazy, right? But like I sleep now. So I
Nice.
can go deep into like what I did. But I know Aleea, probably you have a lot that you can touch on this aspect of like you didn't have chronic fatigue. I would argue you do have chronic fatigue, but
But
you're
not in
not
the
going to the
same way.
doctor.
Right, mine's not like a medically yeah. No, I 100% agree. I definitely think everyone preaches like, what everyone preaches just feels so out of touch, and I think even what you said about, food is such a
Mhm.
good point because it's like, not only are you cooking 3 meals, which takes, especially if you're actually trying, takes 30 plus minutes, then you have all these fucking dishes. Like, for me, it's like, if I'm in the kitchen, it ends up being way too long, and if you think about you're doing 3 times a day, it's just yeah, I 100%. And Dash is still not sleeping through the night. But I'm like you, where I definitely let my stress affect me. Like last night, he kept waking me up, and then finally it was like 2:30, and I just like stayed awake until like 4.
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that was really helpful.
Right, but
Like, great.
if you fell back asleep and then he woke up 30 minutes later, are you gonna be more mad, or could you have just, like, read for 2 hours, you know?
Yeah. So I do think it's like, and I know people mean well, especially when they're like, oh, just drop them off, and I'm like, yeah, but when I do drop them off, I come home and like want to get things done that I can get done when I'm not with my child because I
Right.
have my free hands and no one crying, or especially now that he's crawling, getting into everything. It's like, can you just like
Or I have
not?
to plan my self-care, I have to plan downtime. Like,
Yeah.
just tell me that doesn't sound outrageous to you. I have
Yeah.
to go find a babysitter. I mean, that's what we have to do as moms, right? But I have to go
Right.
find a
Right.
babysitter, and then I have an hour to get home
Mhm.
to relax You have cats and dogs, I have dogs. Like, I just the concept of, like, just don't do anything doesn't work for me.
Me neither, and I think it also brings, like, shame and guilt. Like,
Mhm.
let's say you do drop them off and you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go take downtime," but then you're like you're sitting there and you're like, "Oh, this is all the stuff I could be doing. Will I
Right,
have, like, the freedom to do it?" You know,
right.
like yeah, 100%. I just think it's funny because people are like, "Oh, just do this," and I'm like, "Okay, like, it's so easy."
And
Let
that's
me just
literally how I was with my doctor. He was like, "Do you do anything for" I read. I read a chapter at a fucking time. I do what I can. But then it's also
right,
stressing me out more because I want to be reading right now, you know?
right,
But is
yeah.
that, like, emotionally or, like, mentally relaxing? Probably not, I would
It may be.
assume. I
I
don't
guess
know,
it depends on the book
doctors
you're reading.
if any doctors listen, please let me know. When you're reading a book, does your brain relax?
Yeah. And I think that is a good, like how then into this topic, how do we refrain what counts as self-care? Because
Mhm.
it's like maybe sometimes it's not that hour-long ritual and
Right,
passing off your kid for a few hours and getting that. Maybe it's in the little moments that are in our day. Like, for example, maybe I just finished work and I close my computer and I just take a 2 minute like breathing break. Like maybe I step
right,
into another room. Maybe I just take and obviously not everyone like, honestly, this is not a self-care for me. Taking a couple minutes to breathe is not really hitting it, but if that is something that
right,
works for you, that could be a really good time to do it. Or even, like, doing anything you enjoy without multitasking. So whether that's, like,
right,
drinking coffee, maybe that's doom scrolling, maybe it's a little bit of Netflix, like, sometimes it's just being able to do brain rotty things
right.
without, like, other things happening,
What was
even if
your
it's, like
self-care before you had a kid? Or let me rephrase that. What your self-care was before having a child likely is not going to work. I know for me, prime example is I would record videos and do my makeup, right? My creative
Mhm.
makeup. And that's like a 3-hour task. However, before having Azzy, that was very calming for me because I just get to sit there and look in a mirror and play music and do art on my face. Fantastic. To me, that was self-care. Some people, it's, putting a face mask on, but that
Right.
you need 30 minutes, right? So a lot of the dialogue between me and Tony was, "Okay, well, you need your hobbies back," right? Like, "You need to go do something. Where are your" my other self-care? Plants. You know how
Oh, yeah.
stressful having plants was for me the first year that I had no. So and then having to explain to everybody, "Okay, yes, I loved doing that," and I'm not saying I don't love doing my makeup
Right.
anymore. However, the idea of finding even an hour to sit down, that's another job to me right now. That's not self-care. Like, that is me having to go buy the makeup, having to compute what my makeup look is gonna be, having to record, then having to edit that. Like, I can't just lay on the couch and edit without interruptions anymore. So what does self-care look like to me now?
Right.
I don't know.
Different.
Very
I
different.
well, and I think that's a good point too, because sometimes the things that we did, like for example, I think about you doing a full face of makeup to do what? Sit on the couch? Seems like a lot of work. Like before
Right.
you might have gone be going out or like do like our mom lives are different. And so like the thought of
Absolutely.
the because I'm like, I think the same, like doing makeup to then be in my own home, a little bit of a stretch.
And before I would do it every once in a while, but I would, like, record, like, 3 videos, right?
Right.
Like, but it's like a job. Like, I didn't
Right.
make money from it, but the goal was to become a content creator and make money from it.
Right.
So, it's a job. Whereas now when I wanna do my makeup, I like 5 minutes. Like, I wanna get it done. Or it's a fun activity for me and Azzy to do together because she loves mommy's makeup. Not
Yeah.
self-care.
Not self I agree, and it is different. I agree with you because it's so funny. I, like, dream about the time that I used to have before a kid. Like, it's
Right.
crazy how much time I just let go wasted because I didn't realize how much of it I had. I'm
Right.
like,
When I would
and
think that to like is on the, topic of self-care, it's for me right now, if you would ask me what I do for self-care, right? I just said I went to the doctors for months. I finally said, no more doctors. I'm gonna
right.
figure it out on my own. Other than making sure that my diet was good and taking ashwagandha and doing like the little thing. What did I start doing for self-care? Honestly, nothing. I started asking my child for space. I started communicating with her, "Mommy's having a hard time right now. Can you give me 5 minutes so that I can calm down?" Like, that is the type of self-care that is
Mhm.
working for me right now, is reminding myself that, like, life isn't that serious. Did she throw a fit about M&Ms? Sure. Could I have just given her the M&Ms? Like, sometimes self-care is literally just being like, "Okay, kid,
Mhm.
here's the M&Ms. Please give me some space so that I can go calm down." And like you
Mhm.
said, doom scrolling on TikTok for 5
Mhm.
to 10 minutes, which in my world, like, that sounds like so much time. I got 10 minutes of uninterrupted TikTok,
Yeah.
but or making my coffee in the morning, doing my dumb little videos of coffee. Like, I say dumb, but it's not dumb to me because it's something that I'm doing for me. But it really is just that, like, okay, I'm with you. I don't wanna go, like, take 5 minutes to do meditation and deep breathe, but I will
Mhm.
say one of the biggest differences I've noticed from February to today is that, like, when there's I mean, even today, when Azzy threw a fit about not being able to sit in the front seat with me and sprayed Monster all over my car, it didn't feel like my head was gonna explode.
Right.
I stepped out of the car, I did a little scream, got it out of me, cleaned it up, and went about my day. I explained to Azzy why it was difficult for her throwing a fit about something that she's not allowed to do, and she knows she's not allowed to do it. So I know that doesn't sound like self-care, but communicating what I need and
Mhm.
like we say all the time, it's not bad to ask your kid for space.
Right.
You have a 1-year-old, you can't really tell Dash that you need space, but Azzy's 3 and she knows, and she asks for space too. So it's kind of a nice thing to teach her as well.
I was just going to say, you're teaching her the things that she's going to need when she's bigger or
When she
older.
does, she'll start crying, and she if it's something that she just knows she's having big emotions about. Mind you, I will stop to iterate, my 3-year-old's not normal. She is very emotionally intelligent, so please don't expect your 3-year-old to be quite as advanced as this, but then again, those are things that are really important to me, right? So those are things that I've been saying to her for a long time, like, "I just need a minute to cry," or, "I need some
Mhm.
space to, like, breathe." And
Mhm.
it's not me telling her to get out of my face, it's not me telling her that I don't love her, it's me telling her that mommy needs a second to
Yeah.
recoup so that I don't take this frustration out on you because it's not your fault.
Right.
So she'll be throwing a fit, and I just say, "Hey, let's go ahead and go to your room and calm down." And sometimes
Mhm.
her dad will walk in there and I'll hear her, "Hey, daddy, I just need some space." Cool.
You're like, "Yep."
Self-care. Like, right? Like, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
self-care.
Yes, and I think that is so true. I think it's especially if are a new mom or I mean, even if you're in the season really, it's like asking yourself, "What makes me feel like me again?" And then
Mhm.
finding the time in the margins if you need to. So,
Right.
it's like sometimes you can't find the whole hour, but maybe while you are doing like, for example, if I'm cooking and because I do like cooking, it's just the dishes honestly give me, like, nightmare fuel.
Right.
But I'm like, maybe at that time I could put on a podcast or listen to music, like
Mhm.
something that does light me up during like why not make our mundane tasks fun and
Yeah.
more self-care if needed just because it's like yeah, it's like we don't have to just do chores to do chores. Like you can also include things that make you happy within those and then maybe in the end you're like, "Hey, I'm actually feeling way better."
Mhm.
Um or even getting 15 minutes before or after your kids go to bed or your whole household. Like sometimes husbands need to go away too. Like if it's
Yeah.
like wherever you can find a little space for yourself, like I think we would be surprised. I know I'm always surprised how much better I feel,
Mhm.
even if it's like during other times that feel like it's not self care.
I agree. And I think that's a really great point because that's one aspect I struggle in is sleep. You've known me since college. You know that I need my sleep. If Hav doesn't sleep, I won't say that I'm, like, ragey, I'm not, like, a mean person, but I'm not happy, like, I'm not who I wanna be, and that was a big shift for me as well when I couldn't sleep. Yeah, the not sleeping was horrible, but I actually cut my sleep off. I started waking up at 6, 7 a.m., and I started walking on my treadmill and doing stuff, and I don't wake up at 6, 7 a.m. anymore. I find, like, different times to do it because I can sleep, but
Right.
instead of focusing on not being able to sleep, I was like, "Okay, well, maybe this is the perfect time to go and do my self-care, like the typical
Yeah.
self-care, right?" Or now, because Azzy now sleeps in her own room, I still put her to bed and I still, what's the word? I still, I respond. I'm still a responder. So if she wakes up in the middle of the night, I still go to her. However, between 9:30 and 12 p.m., I don't need to be asleep. I don't need to sleep when she sleeps anymore because she sleeps through the night. So I'm not getting woken up like I was when she was 1. So I stay up until midnight, whereas I used to go put myself to bed at 9:30. Um, and I read. Sometimes I spend time with Tony. Sometimes I say, "Hey, doesn't the video game sound real good right now? You should go play video games. I'm gonna go read." So I think that's a really great point of, like, even if it's hard for you, sleep is a big thing. You're like me, you're like, "I would never wake up at 6 a.m. to
No.
diary and to da da." I wouldn't either. However, sometimes adjusting your schedule a little bit is helpful.
Yeah, I agree. Letting some things go that aren't maybe as necessary. And like you said, maybe because I'm not a journaler. So maybe you aren't either, but I'm like, and maybe even if you don't want to get up really early, even if you get up like 15 minutes before you normally
Mhm.
get up, maybe that's where you just lay in bed and doom scroll again. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be self-care that's like you said, like that like the one vision that we view as self-care. It could be like your own form of self-care. But it
Yeah,
definitely does not have to interrupt things. Like you can find it within other parts of your day if it's
yeah.
necessary.
Or try to include if you're a stay-at-home mom, or a work from home mom, like I call myself, trying to include, I started doing that. It sounds honestly, partially it is more of a task, especially when you first start, but once you
Mhm.
get the hang of it and it becomes kind of like a easy mundane task, Azzy helps me cook. She helps me make her dad's, like, overnight oats. She can scoop and she can stir. Um, if I need to go on a walk, "Hey, Azzy, let's go to the corner store," and you can go
Yeah.
get a special
Yes.
juice, you know?
Yes. Yes. But I do think it's a really good reminder that like self-care is not a reward, it's maintenance and like
Mhm.
you don't need to earn your rest and earn time to feel better with your spouse self. Like we've talked about, parenting is hard. I swear we're going to say it every episode, but it's like even finding little pockets to make time for yourself, it will just help everything flow in the long run. Like it'll
Right.
be better for you, it'll be better for your child, it'll be better for your husband, everybody if you just find little pockets, but also communicating it. Like we've said, and if you haven't listened to our last episode, definitely go do that because sometimes we put more on ourselves than we want to because we just aren't communicating in the way
Right.
that, maybe we need to be communicating.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's how you find yourself the time for
Mhm.
self-care is just communicating what you need and not assuming that your partner should see that you need that. Because like I said, my partner was all about my hobbies, but I didn't want a hobby. I wanted I wanted to lay in my bed. And I think too, there is the aspect of the mom guilt.
Yes.
I'm getting better. You're gonna hear me say this about everything. I'm getting better. She's 3. I'm learning. I'm gonna learn until she's out of the house, and I'm still gonna be
Honestly,
learning.
well, I
But
was gonna say we'll probably still be learning because then if we have grandkids, it's like a whole new set of
it's my
learning.
favorite thing to say with my mom friends. It's my first time being a mom. It's my first time. But oh no,
Right.
the mom guilt of it is like
Mhm.
I got to the point where I was so out of it that Tony was honestly running things for a
Mhm.
good little bit, and I didn't have the energy. I definitely felt guilty about it because those are, I should be taking Azzy to the park. I should be doing this, but
Right.
instead I'm sitting in bed reading for 3 hours and Tony's handling it. And thank God that I had a partner that I have a partner that'll do that. But now instead of going until I'm burnt out and I literally have a whole day where I'm like I don't even want to think. Now it's more so of okay, as you give me space for 5 minutes, and then you give me space for 5 minutes, I will go play with you at the park. I can be more there in person if I just am like honest and communicate. And for a while, I think too, there was like, I felt like I was telling her that I didn't want her
Mm.
there with me, like the give me space or whatever. But seeing how she now communicates about it, and then also being able to see that like I have the energy to go do puzzles with her for 30 minutes. Whereas before I'd be like, okay, you got 5 minutes to do puzzles because I can't. I got
Mhm.
things to do.
And I think that's a good point. It's like when we set boundaries in a sense, that's like, you're kind of setting a boundary. It's like,
Mhm.
it's a reminder. It's not saying we don't like our time together. It's just, I need a like I still love you, but this is just something like, like, I don't know, like you're
Yeah.
expressing Like, I think you showed as you like, "Hey, this doesn't mean I'm mad at you," or like, whatever, it's just, "This is what
Right.
mom needs so that I can be even better for you." But I think, like, what you said with Tony taking it's such a good example of, like, when we do ask him to for help, it's like, sometimes you're right, maybe it's just, "Hey, I need 20 minutes for me today.
Mhm.
What time works best for you? Like, do you need time today?" Like, maybe you split it up a little bit. Maybe it's like, it doesn't have to be a whole day. It doesn't have
Mm-mm.
to be, you'll find, especially when you're communicating, you can find time in the small pockets, especially if you have a good supportive system. But we also don't want it to feel like self-care is something that you need to put on your to-do list, because we
Right.
already have big to-do lists. So it's like, it shouldn't feel like pressure. Like, it should be like any self-care you do should feel like support for you.
Mhm.
And sometimes it is just resting self-care. Well, at
Yeah.
least for me, like taking an uninterrupted nap, self-care for sure.
Absolutely. Or I mean, I think, the good like the small things, right? Because I think that's a big one that we're saying is like, if we're not planning for it, what are things that we can do? And like I said, I know it sounds ridiculous. I tell myself like life isn't that serious.
I
If
say
we
it
looked it
all.
up, would that actually be self-care? I don't know, but it makes me feel better. Stepping outside, like
Yeah.
I know we spoke about this. We talk about this a lot with babies. I don't know how many people are, like, aware or do this, but when Azzy was newborn and I couldn't get her to calm down, or even now, she's throwing a tantrum. I mean, gymnastics, she got the air knocked out of her. I couldn't get her to calm down for anything. What did we do? We stepped outside and we literally just breathe. Let's go get some fresh air. And I think
Yes.
that's important for any human being. Like, self-care might just be
Taking a moment.
put your
Mhm.
child in front of the TV for
Yeah.
15 minutes. It'll be okay. I'll go on for days. Maybe that'll be an episode about tablets and TV.
Yeah.
Azzy isn't allowed to have a tablet, but, like, sometimes you just need that 15-minute TV babysitter and go step outside or somewhere where you feel safe being separated from the child and just, like, put in your headphones or whatever you need that'll make you feel good. I know for me, sometimes I just turn on music and we have a little dance party. We're a big dance party
Mhm.
family. Any serotonin boost.
Yes, and I think that's such a good point. It's like, one, life is not that serious. I totally agree. That's one of my favorite sayings. It's like, sometimes you just need to breathe. But I will say,
Mhm.
I think it's also a reminder it's okay to not be a perfect parent. If you think
Mhm.
you are the perfect parent and you don't give any screen time or anything bad, that's great for you. But that is not us, and that's not what this show is about. We are embracing the imperfections, and I think it's so true. Sometimes a little screen time is what makes everything flow better for the whole week. It's
Mhm.
like, it's better for them, it's better for us, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay to sometimes do the things that are, like, bad.
Right. And
I'm
I'm
putting that in quotes.
if you want tips on, like, how we've made TV time and even tablet time work for us, because I say Azzy's not allowed to have a tablet. She has a tablet. She just doesn't have access to it. But if you want any tips, we can definitely talk about in another episode what works for us, at
Mhm.
different ages as well. Because I know, and I know Leah knows, I have battled with TV time, but it's not it's not something that I can get rid of in my house.
Yeah,
I might diminish as much of it as possible. Yeah, let us know if you're interested in that.
yeah. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, sometimes it's like, it's one of those things where sometimes you just have to pick the lesser evil,
Mhm.
And I think you definitely have to pick the lesser evil. And I think it's also a reminder that, like, is this really dangerous, or is it just inconvenient, or like maybe not perfect? Like, like, sometimes you have to weigh in, like, what's going to be, like, is me
Right.
blowing up and having a full blown meltdown going to be worse than if they just
Right.
watch TV for 15 minutes? Like,
Absolutely. Is it and we in our house, we call it a TV day. If there's a day where we're watching movies all day and it's usually because mommy needs a break and daddy also needs a break, and neither of us can pick up the big load of going and doing activities.
yeah,
Like you said, is it ideal? No. But is it the lesser of two evils?
mm,
Probably, because, am I gonna probably blow up in a way that I don't like is beneath who I wanna be as a mom?
right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do that, and that, to me, again, is self-care.
Yes,
Like, you go ahead and you watch your movies all day,
I
and
agree. Movie time for me is definitely some self care.
it
Like,
is, because I can
big
watch with
part.
her, or I can read, or I can watch something else, or I can go spend time with my husband, or there's just,
Right.
like, a lot of things where it's like, okay, that's just, like the break that I needed. And
Yes.
again, we can go into what ending TV day looks like, 'cause that's always fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
sometimes it's
again,
worth it.
screen time, I'm sure, could be a whole episode because I know a lot of moms, and I'm sure you, if you're listening, have struggled with, like, "Oh, I'm damaging my child," and like, "Man, I really needed this for
Mhm.
survival."
But yeah, there's so many different types of self-care, like you said, like me taking time to make my coffee during the day.
Mhm,
Tony taking time to play video games. That's a little bit more like clear self-care, right? Me
mhm.
reading,
Yep.
but also just like breathing. If you don't have time to like step out and breathe by yourself, maybe teaching your little one how to deep breathe.
Mhm.
My little one likes to tell me when I look stressed, "Hey, mommy, you look mad. Maybe you should take some deep breaths." She's probably right.
Right.
I have resting RBF, if you don't know,
Yeah.
look it up. But
I agree.
she'll literally be like, "Why are you mad?" And explaining to her that mommy's too tired to smile right now.
It's just
That's
my
all it
face.
is.
Love you. No, it's true, and I agree, and it's, like, kinda to wrap it up, it's, like, finding the moments in the little, like, finding in the little moments things,
Mhm.
like you said, maybe it's going on a walk with them. Maybe it's this week, instead of you doing all the cooking, maybe your partner takes some of the cooking and you're able to do nothing,
Mhm.
just doom scroll. I mean, honestly, self-care can look so different for everyone. So really it's like sit down and like think like what's one 5-minute thing that helps you feel better and when can you sneak it in? Like I
Mhm.
know for me, it's not really a minute, it's more like an hour. One thing that I really need that helps me with my self-care is actually taking care of myself. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't really do it before, and I do it even less now as having a kid. It's like, I like painting my nails, I like having, like, a shaved body, I
Yeah.
like being clean and a lot of
Smelling
times my
good.
showers are rushed. Like and so, like, sometimes I'll ask Ty, like, "Hey, if I could just have 1 hour this week of uninterrupted time to be able to do this," like, I know it's of course, it's an essential, but sometimes, like, for me, doing all those extra things, kinda like my own little spa day,
Mhm.
even if it's 30 minutes, I'm like, I feel way better
Yeah.
and refreshed and, like, reborn when I'm not, you know,
Well, also
frumpy.
like you said, not having to rush. Self-care and showering thing is hard one too because at least in our house, a lot of it was like, if you want to shower, just go get in the shower. Okay, that's a body. I can shower in 5 minutes and it's not an issue. Nobody's gonna notice I'm gone. But if I, like you said, if I am doing scrubs and
Right.
I'm doing a face mask and I'm shaving and I'm doing all these things, like I don't want to be interrupted in the middle of my leg being half shaved and her freaking out because I didn't make sure she knew that dad was watching her, like whatever. Um, but yeah, no, I totally agree. There's the small things.
Yeah, and I mean, even if it's maybe your self-care is doing a face mask, maybe you put it on and you're rocking it while you're getting them ready for bed. Yes, it's not ideal because you're not fully checked out, but I'm like, at least you're doing something for yourself.
Right.
So it's like whatever your self-care is, if you can find ways to fit it in, you'll just feel better in the long run. Like I know for me, even if I just shave my legs, I'm like, wow,
Right.
I'm feeling ready.
Well, and like we said, we don't want it to be a to-do list, right? And
Right.
we're type B, type C moms who we honestly can't run on an actual
Yeah.
schedule, no matter how hard we try. So something that I like to do for myself so that I can spur of the moment being like, I don't want to cook, I make sure that I have freezer food. We don't eat freezer
Yes.
food every day, but do I have cheese pizzas in the freezer? Do I have corn dogs? I have chicken nuggets. I literally have, and I am lucky enough to be able to have a deep freezer where I can stock orange chicken and pot stickers and stuff like that. But I do that so that on the days where I can't cook and Tony can't cook, hey, Azzy, pizza night. You want pot
Mhm.
stickers? That's a 15-minute meal and everybody feels like, oh, we actually did something, like, oh, we made dinner.
Yeah.
Now let's go veg out.
And honestly, to add on to that, another thing you can do is like, let's say you're like Hav and I that do make a lot of meals. When you're making dinner, double it and then freeze the second portion. And then
Yeah.
now you have a home, frozen meal that you can bring out on those days. Cause I know for me, especially, I deep clean the kitchen. I don't wanna cook in that day.
Nope.
Like, I'm like, "Oh, it's clean, nobody touch anything."
Literally.
So, I'm like, even if it's a long day or it's just a day you're not feeling it, I agree, it's like having the backup if you can, like Hob said, if you are lucky enough to be able to have, like, a deep freezer full of stuff, but even if you can only make small batches of stuff on top of what you're already making, those are also great ways to
Mhm.
stock up without adding to your load because you're already making that dinner, so doubling it isn't really taking away your time. The only thing that might be extra is, like, taking the time to put it in a freezing container.
Right. Letting it cool down and then
Right.
putting the freezer. And that's something that I did a lot when Azzy was a newborn or, like,
Mhm.
before. We could
Mhm.
even let us know if you
Mhm.
want an episode on freezer meals or how to prep for a newborn. But
Yep.
those are things that, yeah, if you intentionally know that you don't wanna do freezer food, if you're a little more health conscious and you don't wanna do, like, pizzas and stuff like that, or even, like, I make bread at home. Do I do the most? I absolutely do, but I've started because 'cause I've noticed it aggravates me when I have to spend 2 hours
Right.
unannounced making bread, so I double batch it and I put half of it
Yes.
in the freezer.
Exactly, and it does, and I agree, especially if you are, like, real early in the trenches of newborn. I did not cook for, like, 6 months. I had a ton
6
of
months
freezer
minimum.
meals. Yeah, like, I had stocked up. I spent, like, when I was pregnant, like, I don't know, 12 plus hours in the kitchen,
Mhm.
meal prepping a ton of food. Was it awful? Kind of, but man, did it pay off. So, yeah, let
Right.
us know if that's something you want us to talk about because
Also more
yeah,
cost effective, which for
it is
some of
more
y'all I know for me, that's self-care, not spending a whole bunch of money. We love it in my house.
we love our budget queen. And so that kind of wraps up what, we were talking today. Again, think about one 5-minute thing or just one thing that will help make you feel better and how you can sneak it in. And stick around with us because in the next week's episode, we are going to be talking about how loving your kids, like you can love your kids, but still grieve who you were before them. I know this is a hot topic we have seen a lot. And so we just, people are always trying to make you feel guilty for that, but you can experience both emotions at the same time.
Mhm.
So if that is something that you're struggling with or you just, want some validation in how you're feeling, stay tuned because we will be diving into that next week.